Happy trade deadline week, ladies and gents, and welcome back into the Hollywood Rips studio for episode 10 of the Cardboard Critics podcast. I haven't been fired yet, so that's always good, but I'm your host, Mr. Hollywood. That, of course, is Joe Nasty to my right.
Fired. Your name's on the sign.
That's true. I'd have to fire myself.
Yeah.
But
can't fire me, I quit.
That is, of course, the irreplaceable Joe Nasty 90 to my right. The National Sports Card Convention has officially come and gone, the biggest sports card and memorabilia show on planet Earth. The MLB Trade Deadline looms large on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Some blockbusters have already been made, and of course, whose cards are hot, whose are not? Well, maybe we'll talk about that more later. And whose should you consider investing in? All to come on today's episode. But let's start with a little bit of a different sort of segment for today's show. Normally, we kind of just do something newsworthy that's going on in the hobby. And there's newsworthy stuff more just in the world of sports in general. But we will start with the fact that we just had the National this past weekend. It was in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. I hear the weather is beautiful there. I hear the city is one of the cleanest cities in the world.
Right. The only place where a lake caught on fire once because of the oil spills and all the tire stuff. Yeah.
So, anyways, the National. With all due respect, Cleveland, we love you.
I do.
500,000 square feet of show floor this year, over 600 dealer booths. I converted this 500,000 square feet into acres. It is 11.47 acres worth.
Is that right?
Of show floor. It's hard for me to really believe that. You can look it up.
I'm going to.
You can look it up too, but anyways, of course, the National is really just your one-stop shop for all things sports cards, sports memorabilia. I think, I know you've never been.
No.
Is this something that you would like to go to?
So let me ask you this. Is it always in Cleveland? This is not a deal breaker for me, but it does rotate?
So, yes. I think the first year was in 1980. And it was a very small group of people over at LAX Airport in a room there. And it has rotated primarily between Chicago, Cleveland, Atlantic City. I believe it's been in one of those three cities every year for like the past decade. There have been rumblings that next year is going to be in Chicago.
Okay.
And then it will actually be in Chicago next year and the following year.
Okay.
But there have been rumblings that they will bring it to Los Angeles.
Okay.
Hopefully. So, what do you think?
I looked up the LA Convention Center's acreage because I was like, well, I kind of have an idea. That's 35 acres. So maybe the 11 acres is actually on the smaller end of convention centers.
So let that be a message to the people that put on the National. LA, you have plenty of space.
So much space.
So much space.
Some would say too much.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people. Would I ever go? Sure. What would be my main draw? And by the way, my mother is from Cleveland. So when I say I love Cleveland, what I mean is I'm fine with it. Been to a game at the Jake. Sorry, it's Progressive Field now. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is actually pretty cool. So I'd maybe go to Cleveland and go to the National.
Yeah.
I will go, and I'm putting the gauntlet down right now. I will go if and when it comes here, when they give us the booth to live record our show. There it is.
That would be really cool.
It'd be so cool.
Over 100,000 people went to the show this year. Mm-hmm. Pretty impressive.
Basically the same we had in the last video.
Exactly. About the same amount of viewers that we have right now. What else is going on? Well, the Olympics started. Of course, 2024, the Summer Games in Paris. We had quite an opening ceremony. It was over a 4-mile stretch of the Seine River. I think the first time the ceremony has not been inside of a stadium.
Yeah.
So it was really unique. Of course, LeBron and Coco Gauff were the American flag bearers. Are there any specific sports or Olympians that you're excited to watch in the Olympics? Because even some of these individual sport Olympians like Simone Biles, they have cards that are produced of them.
Yeah.
But they literally only sell, for obvious reasons, during the Olympics right now. So, I know Biles started her Olympic title defense yesterday, I believe.
Yes, I think she
today.
hit the mat. It's with the time changes.
So what are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, it's really interesting because every 4 years or the in between 3.5 years, I would never say to myself, well, I'm going to sit down and take in a good match of field hockey. But you know what? That's precisely what I did yesterday. And the USA, and from what I understand, Argentina's pretty tough. So we lost a tough one, 4-1 to Argentina, but we had a couple penalty corners that we didn't take advantage of. And so it's the same deal. I sat there watching synchronized swimming last night, and I was like, oh, what's the criteria here? This is really tough. And by the end, I'm like, how are the Chinese so good? I don't get it. Their dives are garbage. They're not synchronized. It must be the difficulty. The Australians just totally blew it. So I can sit here and pretend like I'm above the Olympics, but I'm not. I like the swimming. I do love the gymnastics, and track and field gets going. I'm right there pumping with them.
Have you seen Gold Zone yet?
I watched our friend, yes.
Yeah,
I watched it, and he took me to handball. It was France versus, it was some Nordic country. I want to say Denmark, but yeah, it was hot.
Scott Hansen, the best on-air sports personality host, without shadow of a doubt. I'm not biased at all. We do have the only Scott Hansen signed patch autograph that is a Gem Mint 10 autograph 10 in the world. It's a population 1 in purple ink. Shout out to you, Scott.
But we're not biased.
We're not biased at all.
No.
But we're going to move on to our MLB update. Of course, the trade deadline.
Tread lightly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little hyped from the Celsius. Thanks to Celsius, who is our newest sponsor. They don't know it yet, but they are. They are. But trade deadline coming up at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Not a whole lot going on in the standings. I think everyone is somewhat unchanged from last week. I think the Mariners and the Astros are now tied atop the AL West. But we're primarily going to focus on trade deadline and the deals that have happened and the deals that could come through in the next 2 days here. And really, a lot of these guys that just got traded are going to have huge impacts to card values going forward.
Right.
I'm talking more about the prospects than the actual established major leaguers. But, of course, we'll start with Randy Arozarena, who was traded from the Rays to the Mariners. In exchange for Aiden Smith was the headline piece in that deal. Mariners, of course, trying to swing back at the Astros, keep pace, add another bat to the lineup. Of course, J-Rod's still on the DL for now. Aiden Smith, though, was a guy who, in 2024, Bowman is now a pretty big name. He has an OPS in the minors, I think close to 900, 6-7 homers. I think it's 30 RBIs or something, but he also has stolen close to 20 bases and hit for high average. The kid has been nothing but good so far in the minors. I'll throw kind of all of it to you in give me like a minute.
Sure. I'll be over here if you need
But Jazz Chisholm went to the Yankees, of course. Headliner in that deal was Agustin Ramirez. Agustin Ramirez, also a 2024 Bowman guy. He has probably been the single best player out of that entire class. I think he has 20 homers. As a catcher, he has 20 homers and like 25 stolen bases. And his OPS is one of the highest of all minor leaguers. And he's only 20, I think, 21, something like that. And he is already in AAA.
Wow.
He has progressed all the way through AAA, so that was a big name to give up.
Marlins starting up the rebuild, yeah.
Yeah, in order to get Jazz Chisholm, of course, we had A.J. Puck to the D-backs. I thought this was weird. They traded Davison De Los Santos, who we've talked about before. This dude's going to hit like 30 homers a year plus in the majors, and they traded him for like a 4 ERA reliever. So I know you'll do with that what you will. Zach Eflin went to the Orioles for Horvath, Baumeister, and Etzel. The fact that you got Zach Eflin and the Orioles have probably the best farm system in all of baseball, and you got 3 names back who I've never even heard of. I think that's probably problematic for the Rays, but you know what? If you're going to trust in a team and developing people, we'll trust in the Rays.
Yeah.
Our last 2, Jason Adam to San Diego for Dylan Lesko and Homer Bush. That was a big... I think Homer Bush is probably the coolest name in baseball. But that was a big name to give up for the Padres.
He'd be good on the Cubs with the Ivy
he
hitting
would.
a homer.
He would.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Isaac Paredes late today went to the Cubs in exchange for Christopher Morel and 2 other prospects. Crochet Robert, Snell, Flaherty, Skubal still on the market. What are your thoughts on the trade deadline so far?
Lots to digest there.
Yeah.
I think the Yankees are banking on a lot. And I don't know if they're really going to get the bang for their buck on that one. Reportedly, though, Jason Dominguez is on his way up to take Alex Verdugo's spot, which I find just as interesting as any of these deals that we talked about. Giving up De Los Santos for a reliever, yes, but everyone needs relief help. And John Smoltz was talking about the national broadcast on Saturday for Fox. Everyone runs through their bullpen. All the arms are tired. Everyone needs bullpen help, and that's sort of the cost for even a mid reliever these days.
And De Los Santos, let's be honest, was kind of blocked in Arizona.
Which we talked about, right? The first base DH type. Yes, exactly. It's the big names are still there. The big fish, although Rosarena being moved to Seattle was a move they had to make, and that's probably the biggest move and the most impactful move so far. We haven't even talked about it yet. The whole Crochet demand situation. For those that aren't familiar, Garrett Crochet, who's probably the best, not probably, he is the best arm, talent-wise, on the market right now, said, 1, if you're trading for me, you better extend me. And 2, I'm not going to the bullpen, which has been his career, which has been going back and forth. A lot of people are saying Crochet, bad teammate, which I kind of get. I get that initial reaction, but here's what I think. And it's going to be tough for whoever's trading for him. I think this is his final middle finger to the White Sox, who have been an abject failure of an organization ever since he came up, who've been terrible since... Have they been good since 2005 when they won the World Series? Maybe here or there?
Maybe a couple times.
I think this is his way of because he bent them over a barrel and narrowed their options.
Yeah.
And I think this might be Garrett Crochet's last, you did nothing for me in my career. I'm going to do nothing for you on the way out. That may or may not be true. That's just, as I was prepping for our episode today, that's how I felt. Last but not least, massive series about to take place this week in San Diego. Padres had won 7 in a row. Believe it or not, even though it felt like a fait accompli that the Dodgers were going to win the division, they're only up by 6.5. Mm-hmm. And the Dodgers need everything. A reliever, hitting, starting pitching. Other than that, they're fine. So you want to be a president of baseball operations or a GM? Well, imagine having to call every team like the White Sox, like the Tigers, with everyone knowing that you need everything.
Yeah.
And then trying to make a deal that helps. And also, what does Andrew Friedman, what does Brandon Gromes know about what they have on the IL as well? That's why I think the Dodgers, even though we're here in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, they are the most fascinating team on the market right now. What do they know is coming back? They need everything. Mm-hmm. Is Freddie Freeman going to be back anytime soon? Thoughts and prayers for his family. But without him, that's a AAA lineup. And so it was hard watching them in Houston this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, outside of those top 3-4 hitters, it's really like you said, essentially a AAA
or quadruple A because Nick Ahmed,
lineup, right?
Kevin Biggio, guys like that.
Right. I fully expect the Dodgers will make some moves in the next 48 hours. Mm-hmm. At this point, hard to imagine that they're going to make a big splash. Maybe a Rengifo does finally come to the Dodgers, and I see them more in the market in terms of getting, say, like Jack Flaherty than Crochet or someone that's going to cost significant prospect capital. Sure. Because if they do spend significant prospect capital, as much as I hate to say it, the Dodgers really are running low on prospect capital in terms of what they've had in the past.
Certainly on bats. They have a lot of depth on arms, which we've seen actually the last few days. But their bats, they have a position of strength at catching, and that's about it. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on to our card market update. The SCI Top 500 index was up 0.1% this past week. We'll flash the cards through your screen. Which cards are in the SCI Top 500? Well, it's cards like these. Slide 1. Cards like these. Slide 2. Ooh. Like these. And like these.
Wow.
So all of the most sought after cards really in existence. We'll start with football this week. 2018 to 2020 was up 2.4%. 2000 to 2009 was up 1.5%.
So the players that people know now, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Essentially. As we inch closer to the season starting in just about 7 weeks, maybe, something like that.
Early September, yeah.
Basketball, 2018 to 2020 was up 2.2%, and 2000 to 2009 up a staggering 9.5%. That is LeBron and Curry rookie years, of course. Pretty sure that's bolstered by the Olympics.
Right.
Let's move on to baseball. 2018 to 2020 up 3.7% on the week, probably thanks to Shohei, as usual.
2000, safe bet.
2010 to 2017 down 1.9%, 2000 to 2009 up 1.9%, and 1990 to 1999 up 1.8%, 80s, 50s through 70s, and the really, really old stuff, 1909 to 1950 stuff, was relatively flat this week, so no chart for you this week for those ones. But what cards have been driving markets forward this week? A couple, I don't know if I'd say surprises, but they're certainly interesting. And we will start with the 2023 Prism Silver Rookie of Will Levis, the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. In raw condition, this card is up 113%. Somehow, 113% over the past week. It's $67 for this card. It was $35 just a week ago. I guess I get it. You have King Henry in the backfield.
No,
he's gone.
He's in Baltimore.
He's in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You don't.
You do not have King Henry in the backfield anymore. It was Ridley. Ridley is the guy that they went out and got.
Yes.
So they have a lot of weapons in terms of hands. They have Hopkins, they have Ridley, they have Tyler Boyd. Levis at Kentucky, he was okay.
Yeah.
44 touchdowns, 23 interceptions in 2 years at Kentucky. He did rush for 17 touchdowns in college, which was pretty impressive. What did he do in his rookie season? Well, he had a 58% completion rate. Not good. He had 8 touchdowns in 255 attempts. That's 9 games. So it's kind of like half a season, basically. So let's extrapolate that out into a full season.
Ooh, extrapolate.
He would have probably thrown 15 touchdowns and like 8 interceptions if we lengthen that out. That's not exactly a gunslinger by any means. They're in a weak division. Texans, Jags, Colts, all young quarterbacks.
All of them.
For the most part, and all have a lot to prove. Stroud has to prove that he's for real.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence has to prove that he is actually real, essentially.
Do you think he's a figment of our imagination?
No, but he kind of came onto the scene, like had a flash. Jags were good, won the division, and
won a playoff game.
And then just was, let's be honest, regressed.
Yes.
Significantly last year. Anthony Richardson has a lot to prove as well.
Stay healthy too.
It's interesting. Levis kind of reminds me of a little bit of Brock Purdy because you have a guy who's surrounded by a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of going to come down to, but the difference is Brock Purdy has probably the best defense in football. One of the best
roster.
One of the best 3 defenses in football.
Yes.
Will Levis does not have that.
No.
But what are your thoughts on Will Levis? What are your thoughts on this being a $67 raw card at this point, 113%? Do you think there's upside?
Certainly, because this is a guy who, the classic test, right? He walks off the bus, he walks down the tunnel, and you're like, wow, that is a specimen. He's ripped. He's everything you want physically out of your QB, 100%. The people who are buying this card, the Tennessee Titans, are very much hoping for a massive sophomore jump. Ryan Tannehill is no longer there. This is the Will Levis show. In fact, Ryan Tannehill, I just looked it up, still a free agent. Kind of weird. Here's the thing. You mentioned the division. You talked about all the different QBs that he's battling up against. Mm-hmm. You know, the Texans, would you be surprised if they didn't win the division this year?
If the Texans didn't win it? Mm-hmm. Not at all.
Right, because they're going to be up against the first place schedule.
This division,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans finished in last.
Sure.
It's just so unpredictable.
I like Stroud, don't get me wrong.
I do too.
But no, I'm right there with you. So I had the same comment about Anthony Richardson when we talked about him like episode, I think 3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah.
You can look the part, you can have all the physical tools, but like I still want to watch a game of yours in college. I still want you to win a bit more when you're in college. And like this is going to be a little contradictory when we talk about our next QB who only won in college, but yeah. It's different. He just didn't really blow me away during his time in Lexington, Kentucky. And, you know, NFL coaching is a different beast, but I don't feel overly hopeful for the Levis era. At least for, you know, there's a reason the guy dropped, right? In his draft.
I think this card, look, it's $67.
Sure, but do you really want a Will Levis card?
Yeah, I don't think this is... Here's the thing. I'm not buying Will Levis to sell it because I think Will Levis is going to win a Super Bowl or something. I will acknowledge the fact, though, that Will Levis is going to be in a pretty good position for a young quarterback in terms of the talent surrounding him and the best chance of winning his division. Because at the end of the day, if the Titans win the division, which I think is entirely possible,
sure,
this will not be a $67 card. And I'm probably selling it at that point because I don't think that defense can compete in the playoffs. But that's just my thoughts. Moving on to hot card number 2, and it is another young quarterback. It is the 2023 Prism Silver rookie of Bryce Young. Of course, the number 1 overall draft pick for the Carolina Panthers last year in a PSA 10, but that's up 17.9% over the past week. $239 if you want to buy that one. It was around $200 a week ago, and it's just been climbing steadily for the past 4 or 5 weeks, really. What did he do in his rookie year? He played 16 games, threw for around 2,900 yards, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but he was sacked 62 times.
Right.
Which is insane. His completion rate was 60%, which of course, part of the big reason of drafting this guy was his accuracy was ridiculous at Alabama. Mm-hmm. But let's be honest, Alabama protected him. If you protect Bryce Young, I'm going to go ahead and guess that his completion percentage is going to jump significantly. And what did the Panthers go out and do in the offseason? They did go out and they spent $150 million, I think, guaranteed on a couple offensive linemen to try to protect Bryce Young. It was Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, I believe, to help the O-line. But that being said, at the end of the day, the Panthers still have surrounded Bryce Young with absolutely zero offensive talent around him.
Right.
Aside from still the ageless Adam Thielen.
Yes.
You have Deontay Johnson is, I guess, they're the number 1 receiver out there. But, you know, who's running the ball? Chubba Hubbard.
Say that 2 times fast.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like a candy bar.
Well, it's the lollipop, right? The chupa chup, chupa, whatever.
Absolutely.
Whatever. But as much as I want to say that I think Bryce Young is a better quarterback than Will Levis, I still can't see Bryce Young having enough weaponry to make that team relevant. So until he really gets star power around him, in my opinion, I still kind of think Bryce Young is a kind of wait, hold, and kind of wait it out until. I think he'll have a better season, but what are your thoughts on it?
It's weird. I feel like I've been following Bryce Young for forever now.
Right.
I remember him at Modern Day. I remember when he committed to USC and Clay Helton. I remember when he decommitted from Clay Helton, making the right decision there, and of course went to Alabama. Drafted #1 overall. This is a big, think of the biggest thing you can think of, and then...
Not Bryce Young.
So it's not Bryce Young. I mean, the Panthers are trying to... They're trying to bank on the fact that they have the next Drew Brees, essentially. Who was still thick. Bryce Young is not. So you think of the 62 sacks that you just said, and you think about his slight little frame, that's a lot of beating for a young man who's not very big in football terms.
Right. And that's my concern, really, in terms of hobby value, is if this dude's going to keep taking a beating and have no one to throw the ball to still. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean...
Look, huge future play. Like, the prices you just said, I am not about, because the Panthers are still expected to have the worst record in football.
Yeah.
And do keep in mind, how was it that the Bears were able to draft Caleb Williams first overall? That was the Panthers' first-round pick. So so you talk about the weapons that they didn't have.
Yeah.
Think about Rome Odunze that they could have gotten. Think about all this amazing wide receiver talent. The kid out of, was it Neighbors? And then all the LSU pick. So much wide receiver ability. The Panthers couldn't get their hands on any of them.
Receiver ability.
The guy's named wide receiver.
Or you could just put a space in between and say receiver ability.
It all works out. You did say extrapolate. I'm just trying to keep up with you.
I did. I also did say that Derrick Henry is still on the Titans.
You did say that. We're doing great. So
It's
the
late.
Panthers, to me, didn't get any better. They also they unloaded one of their best players, a defensive end, Brian Burns. So they actively actually didn't get any better.
Yeah.
This is not... Look, you get in low, right? But it's going to be a while before you really see the value on Bryce Young. And I'm a little bit worried about his career, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I am too. It's just not a great situation for him to be in, honestly. But could easily see the card being worth more down the road. It's hard to imagine it with his current situation. We do have a third hot card of the week, though, and it is the 2003 Topps draft pick #1 base PSA 10 card of LeBron James, that iconic card of him in his white suit from 2003, holding up that red Cavs jersey. It is up 41% over the past month to $1,600 in a PSA 10. It was a $1,100 card a month ago, so it's up about $500. He's obviously the NBA's all-time scoring leader. He is the captain of Team USA at the Paris Olympics. He was the one holding the flag at the front of the boat for the Americans, not shockingly. What are your thoughts? I love this card. I think it's really cool, actually.
It's classic 03.
I don't have this card. I'd love to get it at some point.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? And do you think... I think that this card, when he retires, is actually going to do quite well. But high pop count, but what are your thoughts on it?
It's so classic 2003.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Because I can see all of them up there on the stage right now. LeBron, Carmelo, D-Wade with their boxy suits.
Yeah.
I think we did this like a month ago. Do you remember who the #2 pick was in that draft? In a draft that had Chris Bosh, Chris Paul, D-Wade, Carmelo, and LeBron.
Was this Darko?
This was Darko.
This was Darko.
To the Pistons.
Yeah.
Who won? He won a ring, though, on that 04 team.
Yeah, but talk about not hitting water jumping out of a boat.
I know.
The Pistons on that one.
Maybe not Chris Paul, but
you
still.
could have picked like anyone and had probably like a 50% chance of getting a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, truly. But what a week for amazing pictures of LeBron looking like George Washington crossing the Delaware. You can't convince me that wasn't that picture.
Yeah, it kind of was. In the white jacket, no
In the
less.
white jacket. My friend tweeted out, "I've never seen someone look cool until that photo of someone wearing a poncho."
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah, I want to get the LeBron James poncho.
Oh, could you imagine the Air poncho?
Yeah.
The Nike Air poncho
Nike
7.
Air poncho. It's probably coming.
And then did you see his picture today as he was like laying down the lumber on Serbia of him like levitating over the serves?
I haven't seen it. Oh, no. I did see it. Yeah. Epic picture.
Epic. And you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of that sick photo of him and D Wade, the alley oop.
Yeah,
where he's like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it reminded me of that. Man, this LeBron guy, I think he's got a future.
Yeah, I love it. I think this card's great.
I know it's
a little. I'm going to go ahead and say don't buy it right now. It is obviously being propped up by the fact that the Olympics is underway. I think this card will settle back down next year to around the $1,100, $1,200 mark. So I would probably wait until then to buy it. But if you love basketball and you don't have it in your collection, I think it's something to seriously consider. Cold cards is usually a segment we do every week, but honestly, there hasn't been a whole lot that has been cold. We just have so much going on between the Olympics, kind of propping up basketball, even though basketball is over. We had a few cards that have been cold. The Paul Skeens first Bowman base card in a PSA 10 is down a little bit. Kobe's 96 Topps rookie card is down a little bit. Connor Bedard, who we talked about last week, is down a little bit, but I don't want to do a whole segment on them because we already did it really in the last couple weeks.
We know why they were up. Now they're just...
Yeah. So we're going to talk about something a little more interesting in our Invest segment, and this is going to be kind of a continuation of something that I posted earlier this week, and it basically came down to if you had to take one of these three cards between this one here, the LeBron James SPX rookie. This is graded PSA authentic with an autograph grade of 10. This is numbered out of 750. This is an RPA of LeBron James. This is a Patrick Mahomes Origins RPA. It is not numbered, but it is graded a BGS 9 and a 10 on the autograph. And this right here is a Shohei Ohtani purple 5-star rookie autograph in a PSA 8.5. It's autographed, obviously. It is numbered out of 50, so this is the lowest numbered one. But the interesting thing between these three cards is they are all somewhat equivalent price. They're all somewhere between $3,500 to $4,000 a piece, okay? And I asked this, and I had a lot of people were commenting on this, and they said, oh, I would take the LeBron, or I would take the Mahomes, or I would take the Ohtani. And I think you could legitimately make an argument for any of them. Mm-hmm. But I guess people don't really know my take on it yet, but because I kind of let it go to the audience first.
Let it breathe.
Let it breathe. But I want to get your take on it. Of these three, which one would you rather have, again, numbered to 750 on the LeBron RPA, not numbered on Mahomes RPA, and then numbered to 50 on the Ohtani autograph?
What's this one?
That's an Ohtani pink refractor.
Obviously.
So what are your thoughts on these three? Which one would...
Sorry, I had to.
Which one of those three are you taking and why?
I will answer the question. But you pointing at all these does make me laugh because... I was watching a video. Were we talking about Luka last week? Luka and Wemby, or was that 2 weeks ago?
It was either last week or the week before.
I'm only laughing because you and I were like pointing at, do you want this Wemby one or do you want this Luka one? And it wasn't
we didn't have a Luka one.
No, it wasn't. Do you want this Luka Doncic one? And it was like Tony Hawk. Yeah. So that's anyways, business.
Business.
So, for me, it's between Mahomes and Ohtani. LeBron's will only go up once more, and that's when he goes into the Hall of Fame. To me, actually, LeBron's lucky he's doing the Olympics again, because I believe his value and all that is sort of at an all-time low as like an NBA player. He's not doing much with the Lakers since 2020.
Yeah.
The whole thing with his son is whack. The whole thing with J.J. Redick being hired as coach is weird. Like, he sort of needed this Olympics bump. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm going with Ohtani and Mahomes, because they seemingly have more special moments ahead of them.
Pick one.
I'm going to say... What do you think I'm going to say?
I have no idea.
Good. I like to keep the people guessing. I'm going to say Mahomes.
Okay.
Because I know that, one, he's already accomplished everything, and he's at the top of his game. But I also feel very confident in saying that Mahomes has many more great moments ahead of him, for sure. He will make more AFC championships. He will probably win another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This will be the first time Ohtani ever makes the postseason. And yes, he had an amazing World Baseball Classic, but we don't quite know what will happen. Also, age and the possibility of Ohtani injury. Granted, we're talking about an NFL player also.
Right.
But yes, age, injury, past injury issues, and what I already know. I'm going with the gunslinger out of Texas Tech.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you left me with 3 seconds. But
the amount of time LeBron has in his career.
Yeah, but I'm the host of the show, so time doesn't really make it. Doesn't matter for me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you can't fire me.
But here are my thoughts on it. Enthralling, because nobody knows yet. I am going to go ahead and say I am not choosing. The first one I'm eliminating is also LeBron.
Okay, same reason.
And the reason I'm eliminating LeBron is because, kind of like you said, LeBron's career, for the most part, is complete.
Yes.
He's the NBA's all-time leading scorer. The Lakers aren't going anywhere.
He's not going to win another title.
Winning a gold medal doesn't really do a whole lot for his legacy. I agree with you. While I think LeBron is one of the best 2 players to ever touch a basketball,
yes.
I can't see the long-term upside. It's numbered. I'll give you that, but I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate LeBron. I know that's controversial. I mean, it's controversial to eliminate any of these.
Sure.
So Mahomes and Ohtani, you're taking Mahomes. I am actually going to side the other way.
I thought you might.
I'm going to eliminate Mahomes because what Mahomes has done and will do, in all likelihood, when he's done playing, someone else will have done everything that Patrick Mahomes has done, for the most part.
You think
He
so?
might throw for the most touchdowns and the most yards. Is he going to win 7 Super Bowls? It's still, honestly, it's unlikely.
Probably not.
It's unlikely.
Yeah.
And that Patrick Mahomes RPA is not numbered. And I talk about this a lot. We print more cards now than, we thought the junk wax era printed a lot of cards. We print 20 times that now. Mm-hmm. That's not numbered. I think you need to have numbered stuff in order to hold value, which is why I think Ohtani numbered to 50, even though it obviously isn't an RPA. But Ohtani numbered to 50. Ohtani, in my opinion, is the only player of these 3 that has the opportunity to do something in their sport that has never been done before. Obviously, huge question mark as to whether he's able to pitch again. We'll see starting next year.
Depends on effectiveness.
And yeah, he's got to win a World Series for sure. He's got to maybe win a World Series MVP. But we can see now that even if he doesn't pitch, he's obviously an unbelievable hitter still.
Right.
But I think the upside in terms of do something that's never been done still lies with Ohtani as opposed to LeBron and Mahomes. LeBron, in my opinion, will always be in the shadow of Michael Jordan. Patrick Mahomes will always be in the shadow of Tom Brady unless they somehow eclipse those two, which is in all likelihood unlikely. Mm-hmm. But Ohtani, obviously, that's my thoughts on it. I don't know if that changes your mind at all. Probably not.
Well, it actually does, but you had a different approach. Like you had the approach of the true card value, like the nuances is what I'm trying to say, of like the hobby and all that. Whereas, my approach was sort of them in the whole. So you've convinced me, but I stand by what I said in terms of them as sports statured people, athletes.
Well, that'll do it for us this week for episode 10 of the Cardboard Critics podcast. 10? I think it's 10, unless I can't count anymore, which is also entirely possible. So much going on in the world of sports this week, so it was a bit more of a mix of sports cards, just general sports talk. this week. But if you enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to smash that subscribe button down below. Second early there. If you want to chime in or disagree with us on anything, feel free to comment down below and we'll get back to you. Whether we agree with that or not remains to be seen. But until next time, I'm Mr. Hollywood. That's Jonas. Mr. Hollywood, out.